It's just like whoever's in power what these societal conventions mean. And you can't let something that flexible define who you are as a person.
And I never thought about these things because I think my initial reaction, even though I'm trying to evolve, I think my initial reaction, if I had a son, would be like, no, little boys don't put on makeup. And I need to move past it.
It's called Inside of You podcast.
Okay, Inside of You podcast. Grant Gustin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. The guy that played Flash on the TV series was on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
On the show that I watched yesterday. And he was talking about just dealing with pressure and just as he's gotten older, dealing with his mental health and becoming more emotionally intelligent, being able to gauge the emotions that are going on inside of him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of piggybacking. I forgot to bring it up, but one of my boys last week said something, and these are two Neanderthals. I'm just joking. They're my boys. I know. I love them.
Yeah.
But they are very old school men. And one of them was talking about childhood trauma, just yelled out childhood trauma. And I looked at him and I was like, you know what that is? and I'm loving the fact that, and I know we've talked about this before, but I'm loving the fact that men are absolutely addressing their mental health needs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so important for us to just grow and expand and be better people.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Expanding, being better people. Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. But I think it's great. I think that the more men go on that journey and heal, the more they'll realize how detrimental to their well-being and their mental health, like things like patriarchy are, and these perceptions of how men should be and how what is and what isn't masculine, and like kind of recognize that the definitions of those things change constantly, and almost it feels like for no reason. It's just like whoever's in power defines what these societal conventions mean, and you can't let something that flexible define who you are as a person.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of detouring, because we talk about this so much, but I feel like it's important that we should. But kind of detouring, you probably haven't seen it yet because I sent it to you this morning, and I know you get my memes and reels when you get them. It's, in other words, when you open them, when you get them. But I was on another friend's page, and I was at their wedding. They actually had their wedding the day before the world shut down, and they have a son. Now, it's my old roommate. You know exactly who he is. And his wife, and on his wife's page, there was this little reel, and the reel was a woman doing her makeup, right? And the question says, you know, what would you do if your son asked, can he do his makeup next? And the woman in the video immediately goes, right? Like that's a common, like, no, that's not what boys do. Up next was a woman responding to that. And she's a teacher, and she was like, okay, I'm not about to attack you, but let me just give you a couple of different perspectives on that. And she runs down a couple of different things. Like one, immediately when you say no, you equate it to bad. And so then it minimizes what women do, like putting on makeup and getting ready. It minimizes that. Children learn that. Like it's not very important, right? Because when you say no, you can't do that, you're teaching them that it's wrong for them to do. So they equate it as it's wrong, right? And it also was like, you just shut down that little boy ever coming to you feeling comfortable. You know, just like by saying yes, you reaffirm his independence and his confidence. And there's nothing like a man with confidence. And then you're letting him know that this instance will let that child know in the future if there's ever something that you want to talk about, that you're always open to him and won't shut him down. So it
Yeah.
creates an open dialogue. And I never thought about these things because I think my initial reaction, even though I'm trying to evolve, I think
Mhm.
my initial reaction, if I had a son, would be like, no, little boys don't put on makeup. And
Mhm.
I need to move past it. And a lot of times, you know, it's just experimental. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean
Yeah.
that your son is going to be a part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Right.
But even if your son is or isn't, your son will learn that this is okay, which makes them more open to be accepting of other people. And I
Mhm.
was just like, yo, this is really deep. And it's something that would have gone over my head. But parenting is hard. And it's the little
Parenting's hard.
things,
Yeah.
it's the little things that you guys do as parents that can affect a child for the rest of their life. And
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, I'm so scared of messing up my children. I try to do right. And I was like, you can't really live like that. You're the fact that you're open-minded,
Yeah.
that you can only do the best you can. That's
Yeah.
it, you
You
know?
can just say, "Hey, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm your parent, but I'm not always right. And it's okay to correct me if I hurt your feelings or I make you feel some type of way. It's okay to tell me that." I mean, because listen, I know that the fear is that their child, I don't mean for this to rhyme, will be queer, but like, what if they just become a world-renowned makeup artist or painter, or
Facts.
like, you know what I'm saying? What if it is
Hairstylists, like anything.
hairstylist? What if he just admires female beauty? Like,
What if
what like, it could also be that. Like, you're shutting down a potentially really creative side to your child for fear of what they gonna do when they grown and don't, it ain't none of your business anyway. Like, you know what I'm
and
saying? Like,
and that's also it just popped into in my head. It's also a different aspect of maybe the child likes the makeup for the colors.
yeah,
Maybe they become an artist.
yes,
Maybe they become a painter. And when you shut down stuff, let kids be free spirited.
yes.
And let them figure out what they I'll never forget one of my boys. He played football in high
Mhm,
school and in college.
mhm.
And my other boy was like, "So you gonna get him into football?" He was like, "Man, you can't. Kids are gonna choose what they want to choose,
Yeah,
right? And I'm gonna
yeah,
support whatever they choose. Just because I play football doesn't mean that they got to play football. Do whatever they like." And one of his sons is a hell of a soccer player,
yeah.
like hell of a soccer player.
Still plays football, just different kind.
He plays, football.
He plays football. Yes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
no, I mean, parenting is hard.
Yeah.
Parenting
Super
is
hard.
hard.
Yeah. You just gotta first of all, none of us will ever get it 100% right. That's just not possible because we're humans and we're imperfect and we're fallible. Just be open to being like, hey, sometimes mommy, sometimes daddy, makes mistakes and that's okay. And, you know, if I hurt your feelings by saying no, please tell me and please tell me why so that I can, correct my behavior in the future. Like, instead, like, the question should have been when if her son ever came to her and said, "Can I do my makeup next?" The question should have been, "Well, sure. Can you tell me why you'd like to?
Mm,
What do you like about it? You
mhm.
know, that you want to try it on yourself? I don't know. I just see you doing it, or I don't know. I like the colors, or I don't know. I like to draw. Things like that. Like, it would have been a good idea to figure out why.
Right,
Because the answer might not necessarily have been, "Well, I feel like a girl inside." That might not have.
right,
That's the answer that you're fearing for whatever reason, but that's not that. It could have been any number of kids are kids. They don't think about things as deeply. They don't have that knowledge base to think about things, overthink things the way that adults do.
mhm.
Kids are very, very simple.
And the woman said that made the response, she said, was one of the final points. She says 3 points and then said, oh, extra credit. Here's the 4th point. It could just be your child just connecting with you, just wanting to be around you. And
Yes.
that's a lot of things. Kids do a lot of things just because they want to be around their parents. I used to, even when me and my father weren't on good terms as a teenager, right?
Which is normal.
Which is normal.
Because teenage years.
He would be watching the game, and of course, I like watching the game too, but I would go watch the game around him. Why?
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to be around him.
Yeah.
He was gonna do something funny. I'll never forget the time when the Bulls lost in the playoffs, and he got mad at Luke Longley and swung at the TV, and I was heartbroken because the Bulls lost, but the fact that he got up, he yelled, he cursed Luke Longley's name, jumped up off the couch and swung at the TV. I hate Luke Longley. I was like, you know what? I'm okay now because that was hilarious.
Yeah. Feel bad the Bulls lost, but that was nice. Thank you.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.